Everyone, welcome back to my Bible journey. Today, we start Matthew chapter 16. Matthew chapter 16 marks one of the most dramatic turning point in the entire Gospel. Until now, Jesus has been teaching, healing, and performing miracles. Crowds follow him, disciples listen to him, and religious leaders argue with him. But in this chapter, everything becomes personal. Jesus is no longer just asking, "What do you think of I'm teaching?" He's asking, "Who do you think I am?" And that question still echoes today. Part 1. A sign from heaven or a blind harder. The chapter opens with the Pharisees and the Sadducees demanding a sign from Jesus. They want proof from heaven, more miracles, more evidence. But Jesus refuses. He says they know how to interpret the weather, red sky at night, fair weather, but they cannot interpret the signs of the times. In other words, they can read the sky, but not the truth standing in front of them. Jesus called them a wicked and adulterous generation, and says only one sign will be given, the sign of Jonah, a reference to his death and resurrection. The problem was never lack of evidence. The problem was lack of humility. They were not seeking truth, they were seeking control. Part 2. The yeast of the Pharisees. Next, Jesus warns his disciples, "Beware of the yeast of the Pharisees and the Sadducees." At first, the disciples misunderstand. They think Jesus is talking about bread, but Jesus explains that he means their teaching. Why yeast? Because yeast spreads quickly. You don't see it at first, but once it's inside the dough, it changes everything. False teaching works the same way. It doesn't always come loudly. Sometimes it comes disguised as tradition, pride, or religion without love. Jesus is teaching them not all religions' voice speak God's truth. Discernment matters. Part 3. The most important question in history. Then comes the heart of the chapter. Jesus takes his disciples to Caesarea Philippi and asks two questions. First, who do people say the Son of the Man is? They answer. Some say John the Baptist, some say Elijah, some say Jeremiah or one of the prophets. Then Jesus asks the real question, "But who do you say I am?" Not your parents, not your church, not society. You. And Peter answers, "You are the Messiah, the Son of the living God." This is the first time everyone openly declares Jesus as the Christ. Jesus' response, "Blessed are you, Simon, son of Jonah, for this was not revealed to you by flesh and blood, but by my Father in heaven." In other words, faith is not just information, it is a revelation. Then Jesus says something revolutionary. "You are Peter, and on this rock I will build my church, and the gates of Hades will not overcome it." This is the birth announcement of the church, not a building, not an institution, but a movement built on one confession: Jesus is the Christ. Part 4. From revelation to resistance. But the chapter takes a shocking turn. Right after this glorious moment, Jesus begins to explain that he must suffer, be rejected, and be killed. And Peter, who just declared him as Messiah, rebukes him. "Never, Lord, this shall never happen to you." And Jesus replies with one of the strongest sentences in the Bible, "Get behind me, Satan. You are a stumbling block to me. Why such a hurried response? Because Peter wanted a crown without a cross, a kingdom without suffering, a victory without a sacrifice. But Jesus knew there's no resurrection without a crucifixion. Part 5. The cost of following Christ. Jesus then turns to all the disciples and says, "Whoever wants to be my disciple must deny themselves, take up their cross, and follow me." This is not an invitation to comfort, it is a call to surrender. He continues, "For whoever wants to save their life will lose it, but whoever loses their life for me will find it." The world teaches, protect yourself. Jesus teaches, give yourself. The world says, build your identity. Jesus says, lay it down. Then he asks a final question. What good will it be for someone to gain the whole world, yet forfeit their soul? In modern terms, what is the value of success if you lose your integrity? What is the point of fame if you lose your purpose? What is the profit of everything if you lose yourself? Now, Matthew 16 is coming to the end. Thank you for watching. If you like, please share and subscribe. See you Matthew 17.